Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday Love Wrestling Reacts. I am Ed Fries, and I'm joined by an eclectic cast of friends. We've got to my... There we go. That way. Alex.
I'm over here.
Okay.
Great start.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
My left, I'm dyslexic as it is, then you add the cameras in, and it just... Hiya, Doug. So we got Alex over here. Alex, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, hold on. Let me take it. Let me take a quick drink here. It's not quite cooled off yet, so let me put this down for the moment.
Also joining us, we have Cody.
What's going on, guys?
Not much. And just to let everybody know, in case you have... Oh,
Mine is just really plain. I don't have a white Sharpie to draw on it with, but it just imagine Love Wrestling's on there somewhere.
And also, just to let people know, in case they didn't hear during Between Two Beers or between the War Report this morning, Cody is now one of my co-hosts on the NXT Live War Report on Tuesday nights as we continue on with the return of Matt. So, again, big thanks to JPJ for letting us all jump in and helping out while Matt was out. Matt is now back. He's taking care of things on the AEW side with JPJ. So on Tuesday nights, I'm assuming still continuing after Power Out, you're going to get me, you're going to get Astrid, and you're going to get Cody on a fairly regular basis talking NXT. And we found out last night that on the night of the Indie and Index wedding, we are going to be getting the rebrand of NXT as well. So that'll be a fun NXT to look forward to. And of course, the boss is here to keep us in line because he's noticed the Saturday React show gets a little out of whack.
No, speaking of Between Two Beards, you guys finally had the budget to get the boss back on screen.
Which is always nice.
It's good to see you guys. It's nice. Like, I was sitting down quite literally as I did like my little quick promo video. It's been 3 weeks since I've hopped on and done anything with the group. So it's nice to see you guys. Nice to be here. It's going to be good to chat wrestling. It's been a good few weeks.
Was it that we got the budget now, or was it that B2B blew the budget and you couldn't afford to put anybody else on your plate, so you had to do it yourself?
Fair call. I didn't want to bury the guys like that, but you know what? If you're going to go ahead and do it, then I might as well jump on that train too.
And while
I'm getting good at razzing those other beards, so...
And while Spencer has the mug out, we shall always say that, you can go to lovewrestling.ca/shop and get your own mug, get stickers, get fanny packs. I don't think we have any masks left right now, but we'll probably get a new stock of them in. I know we have shirts, all kinds of fun stuff like that. And while we're doing it, we always want to shout out our sponsors at RK Athletics 1 on Twitter, Instagram, all the fun stuff. Follow them there. They are a great follow. Fantastic people, Rich King, and all the fun people at RK Athletics. Give them a follow. They make all of the Love Wrestling things that we do possible. All the fun things like Quizplex and things like that. It comes from people like you who follow and subscribe, and it comes from the gentlemen at RK Athletics who give us the ability to make the wrestling content that we want to make. So, now that we've done a little bit of fun stuff, we're going to start a little dour and then get ourselves back up. Because, of course, in the wrestling world, there are good things and there are unfortunate things. And then one of the unfortunate things is that Daphne, unfortunately, is no longer with us. And as a fan who grew up in the Monday Night Wars and at the end of the Monday Night Wars, in my teenage years, Scream Queen Daphne was a sight to behold. Her and Crowbar and their stuff with David Flair was some of the most entertaining wrestling that I saw from WCW for a while, because I was a WWE kid and I really wasn't into a lot of WCW. That being said, mental health is a very important thing to us, to anybody else. And if you feel like you don't have anybody, turn to, I'll say it to myself, my DMs on Twitter, my whispers on Twitch are open. If you're dealing with stuff and you need an ear and there's nobody else, I will be here to listen. I am a friend and I'm willing to listen to people. I've been through many mental health issues throughout my life. I'm sure other people have as well. I think there's something being put together, and we'll talk about that once we have more details, and we'll put it out on Twitter. But that being said, memories of Daphne from you guys.
See, I can't really sit and claim to be, like, I wasn't a big wrestling fan as a whole up until about, like, a decade ago, right? So I didn't see a ton of the Monday Night Wars. I didn't see a lot of her run with TNA, really any of it, to be honest with you, other than sort of going back and retro watching. It's just tough. And like you said, especially given the circumstances around it, it just sucks. There really isn't another way that I can put it. The world lost a great talent. From everything you're seeing on social media, the world lost a great person. And my heart goes out to anyone who lost a friend, family member, or someone who affected their lives. That's really all I can say on it, man.
Yeah, echoing that, I was a wrestling fan all the way back into the 90s. I watched all the way through the Monday Night Wars. Unfortunately, Daphne was somebody that never really stood out or remained in my memory long enough that on rewatches, I'm sure I'd look back and be like, oh yeah, she was amazing back then. Especially you mentioned the David Flair and Crowbar stuff. I loved the David Flair stuff, but I didn't remember her specifically being the one that was a part of it. But as a whole, just the whole mental health situation, same as what Ed said there. My DMs are open on my Twitter at all times at Cody Defoe right there. Just add me,
Hold on.
DM me. Yeah, we got to drop the RK for a second there so people can actually see it. But
I am.
There we go. Right there. You can add me up on Twitter. I tweet wrestling. I've been starting to live tweet whatever I'm watching, Raw, SmackDown, NJPW. You want to follow me for wrestling content? Absolutely. But if you just need somebody to talk to, somebody to hear your concerns, somebody to listen and be there for you as an open ear, absolutely. Hit me up in my DMs. I will always be open to chatting.
I mean, yeah, the same goes for me. Like with what Spencer was saying, I did watch a lot of the war, but I was kind of more in tune to WWF at the time, especially towards the end of WCW. But seeing Daphne on screen, she was just kind of like that goth emo type of gimmick, and it was something different, and it was something that I related to at the time because I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and I was kind of branching out into that kind of world, and it's something I gravitated towards. And seeing her in TNA, a lot of the times too, it was just she was definitely a talent, and it's a very sad loss.
Yeah. I mean, any loss is sad, especially when it comes like this. It brings us back to Hannah Kimura and things like that, and it's just it's the reason why I'm not English worse. I don't think it's the reason why Love Wrestling is named that, but we don't just love wrestling. We love wrestling fans. The wrestlers, the fans, everything. Love each other. Be friendly. Be kind. Be there for other people. Everybody's going through stuff, especially right now. I mean, we're coming off of a worldwide pandemic where people have been, locked in their houses for 18, 24 months. The people are going through some stuff. Be there for your friends. Call your loved ones. Tell them that you love them. I got a call last night, 12:30 at night, to find out that I lost an old friend that I haven't talked to in 10 years to COVID. So it's one of those things where it's just like, I mean, you never know what's going to be the moment that puts somebody up, into a bad place. So reach out to the people you love them and just be there for people.
Yeah.
That being said, we're going to try to move on here and to something very interesting that came out apparently last night during the NPW shows. I was talking about it in the pre-show chat. Wrestle Kingdom is kind of going off the rails now. I mean, it was cool when they decided it was going to be 2 nights. Wrestle Kingdom is now officially 3 nights. And Cody has informed us, because I wasn't watching, but Cody does love his NTW. That's going to be January 4th and 5th from
the Tokyo Dome. Dome. January 8th will be the 3rd night of the Kingdom now that is going to be taking place from the Yokohama Dome.
There we go.
That's all weird.
Yeah, isn't it?
I would have to at least assume that part of that is in like advance preparation or contingency planning because of COVID. I would have to guess. Like, it doesn't make much sense to have it as a 3-night event and split it over, like you said, the 4th, the 5th, and the 8th.
Yep. Yeah.
Silly.
So that's what it was.
Silly.
The actual Twitter.
That's like a Thursday night Wrestle Kingdom.
The Twitter and Facebook releases that came out from New Japan during the show last night about it. It sounds like what was announced in Japanese that I didn't get a full translation on was it's going to be some kind of tournament they're holding over the first 2 nights, and then the 8th at the Yokohama will be the finales of whatever this tournament's going to be.
I'm going to have to watch the finale of a tournament on a Thursday night?
No, Spencer. We're in the United States and Canada.
An early Friday morning?
Uh-huh.
This is my hell. What a terrible time. I have
It
things
might be
to
a
do
Wednesday.
on
I'm not even
Fridays.
sure how time zones work anymore for things.
No,
like
yeah,
that.
it would be
It might
like
be a
late
Wednesday
Wednesday night,
morning.
Thursday morning, if it's
Yeah.
on the Thursday night.
I don't like any of this.
Like, it's one thing.
I
if
don't
it-
like any of this.
it would be great if- Go ahead, Spencer.
I was just going to repeat that I don't like any of this.
Well,
It
we'll
would've been
see how it
fine.
plays out.
I'm certain it's going to be good wrestling. I have no issues there. Like, don't get me wrong about the event. Well, the wrestling itself, the event over 3 nights, and I got to sit there on a Wednesday. Oh my goodness, this is horrible. This is egregious. This is such a disrespect of my time.
It would have been one thing had this been happening, like, with just including New Year's Dash, which is what I honestly thought when I saw Wrestle Kingdom 3 nights. Oh, cool, they're just bringing New Year's Dash into Wrestle Kingdom. Nope. Oh, God. Speaking of weird things in January that are going on in the wrestling world, we're going to throw this in and we'll have a discussion about both things.
It was an
We have-
oddly convenient transition.
Day one. We have day one from WWE, and I only remember this because I saw it on the bottom line on SmackDown as I watched it this morning. Day one taking place from Atlanta. The tickets are going on sale soon. WWE is doing a pay-per-view on the first night of the year. Not New Year's Eve, which would have been a cool idea. No. We're doing it on January 1st.
See, I think more for pay-per-view buys and that sort of stuff, it's a better idea to have it on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be home. Everybody's going to want to stay home. And you're going to find 15,000 people or whatever the venue size is in Atlanta. You're going to find that many people who will still want to go out for a pay-per-view. I think it's pretty smart to have it that night because New Year's Eve, everybody's out. I like this. Much better than a 3-night Wrestle Kingdom. I can tell you that much.
Well, the other thing, though, is how do you even fill 3 nights of action with the New Japan size of roster? You're going to have to be bringing that U.S. roster over for that, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. You guys,
I don't know.
You guys are talking about 3 nights. Like there was a show back in '94, Big Egg Wrestling Universe did a show, 23 matches, 10 hours.
I only ever heard of that because they Speedball Bailey did a watch along of that about 2-3 months ago, and it was fantastic wrestling.
I thought that was WrestleMania every year. 10 hours.
Pretty much. But yeah, just imagine like back in '94 when like these 2 nights, these 7-hour shows wasn't even a thing yet. You got 2-hour shows for Raw, hour show here, hour show there. 10 hours. You'd be losing your mind by that time.
I am going to eventually tweet my displeasure on this. Oh, this is frustrating.
Day
what
one,
an odd decision.
Day one, you have to have the Usos headline that, right? They're day one-ish.
No, I think it'd be funnier if you had the Usos headline like 3 days later. Truly, like abide by the ish. Like it's day one, kind of.
Yeah.
Like we took the first off. This is really our day one. I think that'd be way more fun. I'm still frustrated.
Now that we have these days that are going to be happening on holidays, can we go back to having Survivor Series on Thanksgiving?
I would love that.
The St. Valentine's Day Massacre again.
Yeah, on
love
the 14th. Yes.
Well, we're getting
Bring it
Halloween
on.
Havoc this year. They announced.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed
Terrific.
that.
I don't
Man,
know
I
if
love
that was
the
a
NXT
confirmed
themed
announcement or if it was a dirt sheet announcement, but I did see something this week that Halloween Havoc is coming back, either as a pay-per-view or just an NXT special again.
I was going to say,
I
I'm
think
assuming
it's cool
gonna
when
be
they do
an
those.
NXT special. Yeah, it's going to be great. Like I said, we got the rebrand for NXT coming in 2 weeks, so that'll be fun. It looks like, based on the promotional stuff that they showed last night during SmackDown, we might be going back to a more Full Sail typed arena without the weird bleacher system that they have now, and back to seats to try to fill that crowd out to get back to that 400, 500 people that they used to have in Full Sail. Any other thoughts on New Japan with the 3-night Wrestle Kingdom craziness and stuff
hate
like
it.
that? I just want to see an hour-long show of Spencer being like, I've turned. This is no longer Love Wrestling. It's now
Well, like you might as well give it a
3-night
fourth
Wrestle
night and call it the Jericho Cruise. Like, come on.
Hey man, if we could
Speaking of
go.
the Jericho Cruise that sets sail in October,
You know what? make hay while the sun shines. If you're comfortable going on a cruise right now, all the power to you. But let me tell you, I wouldn't touch a cruise right now with a 10-foot pole, even if it was like the Kiss cruise. And that has been a lifelong bucket list dream for me. There's a fun one for you. Kiss Army.
Speaking of, we were talking about the Usos in day one-ish. Let's go to the main event of SmackDown last night. SmackDown was a fun show. I watched it, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch it last night, but got a chance to catch it this morning. That was a fantastically fun show. It opens with the Usos versus the Street Profits. Lots of storytelling there. Fun little segment with Paul Heyman that's getting even more and more entertaining, where Paul Heyman's doing an interview with Kayla. He obviously doesn't want to be there. And then all of a sudden you hear a very interesting ringtone.
I love it.
I do too. For those of you who didn't get a chance to catch it, Brock Lesnar's ringtone on Paul Heyman's phone is Brock Lesnar's entrance theme. And
Which is excellent.
Yes, and you hear this like little murmur. By the way, I now need that from WWEshop.com to have like this little like downloadable like Brock Lesnar ringtone for your phone, because I now want that. Like imagine them selling it for like 50 cents, downloadable ringtones of your favorite wrestler's theme song, like direct from them.
I think you'd have to do that through like Apple Music or whatever, because I'm sure they've got them on there.
Yeah, Apple Music does, Google Music, they're all there. You just have to get them shortened into clip-sized bite versions for the ringtone as opposed to like a 3-minute long ringtone.
Beep, beep.
JPJ's like bring back the MIDI versions of all the themes. Always nice. So Paul gets a phone call and he's not anxious to take it, but he takes it anyways. And he answers some very abrupt questions that we don't hear the other side of. But later on in the show, we do get revealed that he's there with Roman Reigns in Roman Reigns' locker room, and he goes to the tribal chief very, very concerned and lets him know that Brock Lesnar has called him for the first time in a year and that he's going to be there next week. And Roman says something very interesting. And he goes, oh, so Brock's watching the show. And he goes, yeah, Fox must be big in Saskatchewan. and I immediately popped because I'm like, oh God, Spenny must love that. It's talking about Saskatchewan.
And I just love Brock Lesnar. While I do love, of course, the great province of Saskatchewan, I am a big Brock Lesnar fan. I am very happy that young man is going to be back on our television screens. I think he's got a bright future in this wrestling business, as they so call it. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm just happy Brock Lesnar's back. How can you not be? Let's just get real here. I don't understand how people can't like Brock Lesnar. I can understand how they don't like Brock Lesnar's schedule. The only complaint I ever hear about Brock Lesnar is we don't see enough Brock Lesnar. And you're right. We can never see enough Brock Lesnar. We really cannot ever see enough Brock Lesnar. I'd watch that guy do farming segments every week until he decided to come back.
Okay, Spenny.
Make hay while the sun shines with Brock Lesnar. And before I throw it to everybody else, Throwback, thank you for the sub, my friend. It is good to see you in here. And thank you once again for supporting. It's always, 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 always damn appreciated. Thanks, man.
Don't give Vince any ideas, because that's going to be Brock Lesnar, the pig farmer.
I'll give Brock. If I was to be the one so fortunate enough to hand the idea of Brock Lesnar farming instructional segments on WWE The SmackDown every week, I would be thrilled. I would be titillated. I would be pleased. I would be ecstatic. I would be every word in between. Viking Brock Lesnar instructing on how to like field carrots. Why not?
I think. How about this idea? Let's tie back the new generation to this. How about Brocco Lesnar, pig farmer? And so you get the Godwin's music and out comes Brock Lesnar? How great would that be?
All I can hope is that this leads eventually to the Brock and Rock connection and we finally get the Brock Rock tag team that we never got.
That would be great.
Right? And then they can eventually take on Goldberg and Sunberg for the WWE, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania. Because you know it's going that way. Sunberg's going to wrestle at Crown Jewel. That's my thought, and I'm sad.
Throwback coming in after his sub. The stuff with him at the Butcher Shop was mint. Yes, the Butcher Shop clip is great. If you haven't seen it, go find it. It's fantastic.
I'm just going to throw this out here before we move on. You want to know how like people love or don't love Brock Lesnar, Spenny? The only thing I truly love about Brock Lesnar is that he's a Minnesota born and bred farm boy who decided he wanted to live in the middle of nowhere near Regina, Saskatchewan.
And that is only one small part of the legend that is Brock Lesnar.
It's the only part that I actually love about him.
We will
It's a
sing
pretty
of
great
his,
part.
We will sing of his myth when we get older.
The tales I will tell of Brock Lesnar. Oh, man.
So after we find out that Brock Lesnar will be there live next week from Madison Square Garden, because everybody don't forget, MSG is finally returned. WWE is finally returned to MSG next week. We are also getting a Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair contract signing there, as we found out earlier in the night. But more on the Roman Reigns stuff. So Roman then says to Paul, "How do you know he's in Saskatchewan?" And Paul's like, "I don't know. He could be in Minnesota." And then Roman goes, "How do we know he's not here right now?" Which was all fun and dandy. And then we get a great little Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor match. I was surprised it wasn't shortened. It got time. It was pretty good. It's a TV match, so nobody can really, the commercial breaks always ruin stuff like that. We got Chris Parrish in the chat saying anyone can make the Viking rosters back then.
Although I will say, okay, so throwing that out there. Not only did he try and walk on to an
NFL
team, he wore jersey number 69 while doing it, and he was the last cut.
Nice.
And he made it in a Madden football game that year.
Yeah, that guy's the man. That guy's just the man. He can do anything. He decided he was going to go to UFC and then became its champion.
JPJ talking about how he loves that they keep touting MSG. It's big that they go back, and especially with all the stuff about how a lot of their big shows now, when they go to New York, all take place from the Barclays Center, as Survivor Series will this year from the Barclays Center. It's always nice to see them go back to their, home. We were talking about pre-show earlier. We were talking about WrestleMania 20 at one point, and I was talking about how it's so great to have, that moment at the end of the show with Eddie Guerrero and his friend, in that ring and talking about, just holding each other and seeing those two guys in that ring for that, for WWE. It was a special moment. Parrish asks, looking ahead a little bit, does anybody see any title changes next week at the MSG show? Because WWE is definitely known to switch a title or two at MSG.
I don't think there's any titles on the card right now. You've got the women's title match is just a contract signing. You've got Roman's likely not wrestling or defending anything at MSG.
Isn't Cena, because I don't know if it was anything that was reputable, for lack of a better way to put it, but I thought I saw some rumors floating around that Cena was back in for MSG next week.
I'm looking for the Summer of Cena tour right now. Give me 2 seconds.
Well, he was announced that he was going to be going to MSG. And then after SummerSlam, there were rumors, and he put out that post that he wasn't coming back for a while. And then I think it was last night or a couple of days ago. And again, it was something I saw scrolling on Twitter. So whether it's reputable or not, I have no idea. But I could see a situation where John Cena wins 17 at Madison Square Garden if he's there next week.
I could also see a situation where Cena just gets beat down by Brock again next week.
I could see Cena winning it because babyface Brock distracts Roman.
I could see it, if we're going to talk about the WWE title changing hands, in that earlier segment where Brock Lesnar called Paul Heyman, we do have a moment where after that, Paul Heyman bumps into this janitor, and it turns out to be Big E, and he's just laughing at Paul holding the briefcase. I could see Brock Lesnar distracting Roman Reigns, and we get Big E as world champion by cashing in Money in the Bank.
I would love it. The only reason that I don't want that to happen is because I am adamant still that Big E cashes in on Goldberg.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I am adamant. I am adamantly for that. And however Big E becomes a WWE or Universal champion, hell yeah, I'm going to be happy regardless. If he was to cash in and in that situation you just explained, Ed, I would be totally behind it. But my preference, just because of that damn podcast appearance, I want him to cash in on Goldberg. I want two meaty men slapping meat.
The only title I could realistically see changing hands next week is Kingsgate.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see the tag titles if they decide to do Street Profits versus Usos one more time. I could see the tag titles changing hands. Throwback has a good question as we. I'm sorry, Alex. Did you have any thoughts on the titles changing hands? I apologize.
No. You guys pretty much covered it. I don't see any title changes unless it's.
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's my reaction. No.
So we'll let you go first on this one, so you actually get an opinion on something. Throwback has a good question. If Cole does re-sign with WWE, do you give him the Finn push right off the bat? Because as we all remember, when Finn was drafted, he went straight to the top to the Universal title. In that path to Universal title, he beat Roman Reigns on a Monday Night Raw on the way to that. Do you have Cole going for the Universal or WWE Championship?
I see him in the picture, but not right off the bat. That's just because they've got their big stars in Roman and Lashley / Goldberg eventually. So maybe build it a different way, unless they want to just put a rocket in his behind and shoot him to the top of the main roster and then have him beat one of those guys. I just kind of don't see it. And I don't see him resigning with WWE. That's my 2 cents.
I like Parrish's shout in the comments there, the Adam Cole one. I really like that because I could see that happening. Those two would burn down the barn right off the bat. And as far as Lashley and Reigns go, if Adam Cole's going to get that push, he has to win, in my opinion. And I don't know if WWE's ready for either of those two to lose outside of like a cash-in or a Brock or like somebody already that guy in WWE. You know what I mean? Not that Adam Cole's talented enough. Don't get me wrong there. That dude's one of my favorite pro wrestlers on the friggin' planet. But I don't know if he'd be the guy to like come in on his first night, hit the last shot on Bobby Lashley and win the championship.
Before we get to that comment there, Ed, I think we got the tease at the end of the show last night on who's taking the title off Roman.
We did. I was going to say, I was going to get to that in just a little bit. But yeah, at the end of the show, Roman does defeat Finn Balor. He chokes him out using the guillotine. And as Roman's leaving, we get one single heartbeat with red lighting.
One last beat, Johnny Gargano versus Roman Reigns.
Exactly, Gargano versus Reigns with red lighting. I did love. I was in my buddy's Twitch chat moderating last night, and the amount of people who were like, "Oh, it's the Fiend! It's the Fiend!" I'm like, "No, he doesn't work there." But the guy in the ring lying on his back happens to have a gimmick that uses red lighting and a heartbeat.
Currently works there. I think that's the most important part. Is currently employed in that place where the event just happened.
Yeah, there's that.
No, with Rock not happening until like 2023 now, apparently. I think Finn is the guy. You push Demon Finn, you bring the Demon back, and the Demon's the one to take the title off Roman.
Yep. Throwback throws out this one. Could we see E cashing in on Samoa Joe in NXT?
No, I don't think so. I really like the idea of Samoa Joe being that guy down in NXT to lead them into this rebrand, because I think a lot of people, and rightfully so, when they hear like NXT rebrand, we're going in a different direction, myself included in some ways. Obviously, you get nervous after what we've got for the last 3 years. Samoa Joe being there as a long-term champ, as a familiar face, is someone who, even while we go in a new direction with NXT, is that familiar face that, it's a weird way to put it, but like that center for a lot of people where it's like, okay, it can't be all that bad. Samoa Joe's here. I think he's going to hold that title for a long, long time. I really like how WWE is doing that lately. There aren't really many hot potatoed main championships anymore. And there was certainly a case of that through their fault and through some circumstances that weren't their own over the last few years. I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it.
And the other thing I'll mention about the Samoa Joe comment, and because we talked about it this week during NXT, Samoa Joe had a really great sit-down interview with Wade Barrett, and he kept bringing up the word the precedent has to be set. Samoa Joe is being put with that title for at least one takeover run, to at least from here to another takeover, to set the precedent of what it means to be the NXT champion, to set the precedent for running a brand and being the brand ambassador. As much as I love Big E, that's not whom he is. And I think it's JPJ's comment, kind of spells that out for me. That Big E needs to be pushed as the face of the company because that's what he is. If
Oh
you're
yeah, he's
gonna
a stud.
if you're gonna do that, you do it on Raw, you do it on SmackDown, you do it with millions of people watching, with all the eyes on it. As much as I love NXT, the hardcores that watch NXT and that enjoy NXT aren't the kind of people that you need pushing Big E up with, especially because that puts him further and further away from the New Day. Because I don't think you're bringing Kofi down to do it.
No, I forget if it was you, Spenny, or if it was Paris at the Money in the Bank POS show that called all the way back then, called that we're getting the New Day triple threat at Mania possibly. And I think we're definitely lined up and heading that direction now, that eventually we see Big E cash in, take that title off of Lashley, and we get Kofi, Big E, Xavier headlining a main event at Mania.
I would love it, and I think that there's a lot of mileage in it. I know that Kofi's been off TV for reasons that aren't storyline related by any means. But I think that it's setting it up well. I really think there's a lot of room there. Whether or not we see, the thing is like, they're all so freaking lovable is the worst part, is like who comes out as the heel in that. But like, I'm leaning more and more and more that Kofi Kingston could be that guy. I really think he could play it, because when they were when the New Day was heel, they were fantastic. They were absolutely fantastic. And I think, not that he needs to fully turn, but he could sort of be that guy in there where he's like, I never got my opportunity, all of that sort of traditional whiny stuff, as weird as that sounds to say about a guy like Kofi Kingston, theoretically. I think it'd be cool as hell. I think it'd be cool as hell if we can get there this year. I think it'd be rad. Xavier's never been hotter either. Like, that guy, I think, is really getting a lot of appreciation that he's deserved for years as a wrestler. You watch him wrestle a singles match now, that guy can go. That Lashley match was insane. The cage match, I loved it.
I think Woods could be the heel, though. I think Woods could also play that part of, all this time, we've been a team, we've been working together, and I've been stuck in your guys' shadows. I never got my chance to shine because it was always Kofi. It was always Big E. You guys always were laughing, goofy, the silliest. Everybody had you. I was never at the front and center. I never got my chance. And play X as the heel there. I think he could do
any of them could, is the cool thing. I think all three of those guys are, I'm not breaking any news, or it's not rocket appliances for me to say it, but like, those are three of the most talented guys out there, right? Any of them I think could convincingly do it, but I just got a gut feeling it could be a Kofi Kingston semi-heel run, I say, because I think there's a lot of legwork there too, of just like a straight up, we're three friends, let's go wrestle each other on the grandest stage of them all.
Yeah.
And that would have mileage for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Just Big E coming in with the title. They all celebrate with him. They talk about it. They decide, you know what? All three of us, we've done as much as we can as a team. Put the three of us together on a card. Let's go have fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be neat, as
Alex,
I like to say.
Alex, we haven't heard from you in a while. How about you?
Man, I just love listening. Let me have a sip of my cup of Kofi here, because I think that he would be the guy to do it.
And we've lost the boss.
Yes.
Good job, guys.
Yes.
We'll all be in the virtual office when we get back.
I had that planned before the show. I was like,
Get out. Get out.
Yeah,
you better have had that plan before the show. Plan your apology for the next show. That was freaking, oh my goodness. Frustratingly good.
I'll accept my Oscar. No, I think Kofi could be the guy, like he's been, sort of the mainstay of the New Day. Like, when you talk New Day, you obviously have to have Kofi in there, because he was the guy that they wanted to bring in. Kofi, before they did New Day, was gonna, maybe even pursue something else besides being in WWE. So it's a definite possibility. And I don't think Big E, they're trying to push him as the big face now. Xavier, I think he's got too many good
That would make
bones
him Big
in his
F.
body. Yeah, Big F. I think Xavier's got too many good bones in his body. Like, we see him on, up and down, his YouTube stuff and whatnot. Like, I don't think he can be the mean guy that he needs to be for a heel. So I think the only way he could do it is for it to be Kofi.
Or no one.
Or no one, yeah.
Or no one.
Yeah, or no
Could
one.
be no one.
Have a three faces main eventing with WrestleMania. Three friends.
All right, and so
The
moving
three
on from
best
SmackDown and
friends
WWE
that
for
anyone would
a
ever
short
have.
moment. Oh, sorry, what's up?
I was just singing they're the three best friends that anyone could ever have. That's all.
Okay, sorry, I just didn't want to interrupt you. That's
And absolutely nothing of importance, as is my shtick.
all right. That being
know
said,
all
there
about
is
stick.
something of importance coming up, and especially from us and whatnot. So I want to lay this over on Spencer. I'm going to give him the big screen as we talk about you being at RCW tonight, but also some other news started to drop this week, and I think we can talk a little bit more about it now, right?
Yes, CM Punk is back in professional wrestling.
And Spencer,
And I'm so glad
I've
that
waited
we
so
can
long.
finally talk about it. No, it's a very exciting time for Love Wrestling, as we finally got to announce yesterday. We are going to be helping out with a future event here in Edmonton. Force Pro Wrestling's Change the Game, coming up on October 15th, 2021 at the Rec Room South Edmonton Common. It's just very cool to be a part of. You know, I'm very, very proud, and I said it yesterday, to play my small part and play our small part in the wrestling scene and the indie scene and the Canadian scene specifically for me. And it's very, very cool to be part of an event, especially like this, where there are so many great Canadian wrestlers coming in. There are so many great people that are going to be involved with it. Some of Love Wrestling's favorites are going to be part of it. Talent announcements are coming up soon on that end. But like, you know, Force Pro Wrestling was the first promotion I ever got to work for. So it's very, very cool to get the opportunity to work with them. It's very, very cool that because of my work with them and because of my work with the Albertan scene, I'm lucky enough to go out and here's my cheap plug for tonight's event, Real Canadian Wrestling at the Norwood Legion this evening. Come and check that out, because really there hasn't been a better time to be a Canadian professional wrestling fan, in my opinion. There's so many great talents out there, and some of them are going to be live in Edmonton, Alberta. Bell time at 7 p.m. tonight at the Norwood Legion. Make sure you get your tickets. They're available for another 20 minutes if you want to save $5 on RCW's Eventbrite page. Eventbrite is a word that, like, I've stumbled over for months. I don't understand why, but we'll get there.
Eventbrite?
And also, speaking of RCW, we were talking about it in the private chat before we started the show. But I believe, didn't they just make a nice little talent addition to a former wrestling star?
Yeah, so actually, as of last week, as first reported by Mike the Ref Maloney of Backbreaker Media, give credit when he was the first tweet sent out, David Benoit in the future is going to be wrestling for RCW, which is, it's very, very cool. You know, I was lucky enough, I was backstage at the show last week when he was announced to be competing in the future for them. I know he's been training with Can-Am Wrestling and the Canadian Strong Style Wrestling Academy with Johnny Devine and the individuals down there. So, you know, he's learning from some of the best. You know, I was lucky enough to chat with Devine a couple of weeks ago, and that guy's got such a passion for pro wrestling. So, you know, I don't need to speak to his talent. We all know how good that guy was inside the ring. He actually even wrestled last night for RCW as well, ironically enough. But it's very, very cool. He was a very, very nice individual. Obviously, I was only meeting him pretty briefly, but a very nice guy, a guy I'm very excited for. Obviously, a guy with a lot of give a shit and a lot to prove in pro wrestling. So I'm excited as hell for him. I'm excited for RCW. They're doing really, really good things in the Albertan wrestling scene right now. You know, some of the talent you've got out there, no pun intended. Well, pun slightly intended. There's some of the top talent in Canadian wrestling out there right now.
Sandy joining us for another show. We appreciate you sticking around, Sandy.
Hey, Fred. Good to see you, buddy.
Germany today. Yes, Love Wrestling for Life. And like I said, that Game Changer Wrestling show is going to be a whole lot of fun. There's a lot of us who wish we could be there. There's a lot of us that are chomping at the bit to be on the post show for that. So,
well, and here's a little fun one that I can break for you guys if you want, is that we are still working out the details of it, but each and every match from October 15th, we are going to be live streaming right here on Love Wrestling's Twitch channel exclusively. It'll be free to watch. You guys are going to have to pay a nominal fee if you want to interact, hop in the comment section, all of that sort of stuff. That's where the details are still being worked out, but you guys are going to be able to see Change the Game October 15th live from the Rec Room in Edmonton right here on Love Wrestling. It's going to be a hoot. See, I'm even using that's how excited I am. I don't think I've ever used that word to describe anything ever. So it's going to be a hoot.
There we go.
Which in Spenny speak is a lot better than it's going to be neat.
Okay,
Exactly. It's the
so
one
who-
level up. It's like when
yeah.
Warren, yeah, it's like how Warren Hayes has. This is a fun match, you guys. This is you move up from there. This is a really good stream. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's very, very cool to be a part of it. I'm frankly honored with the opportunity to be a part of it. Yeah, Alicia Toot's going to be a part of it. She's going to be doing a lot of backstage stuff on that end of things. Michael Richard Blaze is going to be a part of it. Nicole Matthews is a part of it. Casey Spinelli's a part. Current Defy World's champion, Ravenous Randy Myers, is going to be a part of it. We got a lot of great individuals, including one of the handsome fans in the comment section. Chris Parrish will be part of it.
I was looking
Got a lot of
yeah,
good people coming out.
This is the comment I'm going to use to let that Chris Parrish is going to be in it. It's a totally different conversation, but we're going to use that quote because that one's fun.
So here's a question. I was here's a question I was brainstorming this last night there, Spencer. Can I come in from Indiana and be the un-Canadian, such as Tess and Christian were a few years back?
Fly yourself out here, and we'll need to negotiate a payo.
I need my hot dog and my handshake, man.
Actually, I saw it was trending on Twitter the other day. I think one hot dog now takes 35 years or 35 minutes off your life. Years. Shit, that'd be tough.
That'd be bad.
35 minutes off your life. So like somebody check on Joey Chestnut, please.
Yeah. So obviously you're gonna hear more about this show as we go on and we get more details on all the Love Wrestling social platforms. So make sure you follow us at all those different places. While we're at it, we're gonna do some more cheap plugs. You're already probably watching us here, but if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, remember you can follow us on twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca. That's where you're going to be able to watch the matches from this great show. You can also follow us and find all of our great YouTube content at youtube.com/lovewrestlingca. Again, we're going to go ahead and promote the shop, lovewrestling.ca/shop, to find all the great shirts and other apparel, including the mug that Spencer's drinking out of. You can't have his, but you can get one just like it.
You can have mine if you pay extra.
How much extra?
Sandy, thanks for the bits, my friend. Appreciate it.
And again, one more time, we just want to make sure we're throwing out our sponsor, RK Athletics. Since we almost forgot on the NXT and Power Out shows, we're going to give them double billing here this week. Make sure to check them out at RK Athletics 1. They had a great post the other day about chicken and vegetables and rice, and go ahead and meal prep for a 7-day thing. So go check out that. That was great. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk. I know we talked for 2+ hours about All Out, so we're going to do a brief All Out chat here now because it is the show that's coming up tomorrow. So that being said, are we all excited for All Out?
I really don't know how anyone couldn't be, to be honest with you. And I think that like All Elite has always done a really good job, I think, of making sure that they've got something for everyone. I know I bring it up all the time, but like the wrestling buffet that you need, you can't have all death matches, all lucha matches, they do a really good job of providing variety. But like, even without Andrade and Pac, I think they've got something covered for everyone. They've got the nostalgia and Punk back. They've got it with Sting as well. They've got the up and coming young star in Darby Allin opposing him as well, right? I think that there are so many nice pieces involved in this entire card that I really don't see how there wouldn't be people at least not curious. I phrased that poorly, but you know what I mean? You see this card, and at the very least, you're going to want to check out the match. You're going to want to check out a recap. You're going to want to find out what happened, whether you watch it or not, right? I'm psyched. I'm so excited. Like, getting to watch that CM Punk return with JPJ and Joel Pearl was like the coolest experience. Getting to watch someone return I've had probably since the Hardys, if ever. And getting to see him back in a wrestling ring again is surreal. It's going to be surreal to watch that guy actually wrestle again. Omega and Christian have already delivered before. I'm excited to see what they're going to do for another match against each other. It's going to be very, very cool. And great shout there, Parrish, as well. If you guys want to get in on some pre-show action with All Out's pay-per-view. We've got some great friends over at Backbreaker Media, also doing some great stuff here for the Albertan wrestling scene. Make sure you head down to Beercade YEG. They're fortunately enough, a sponsor of our live content that Parrish and I do for the POS show. And they're kind enough to support other great individuals doing stuff in pro wrestling. So if you want to head down to 105th Street and 82nd Ave right here in Edmonton, Alberta, we would encourage you to do so. Prior to All Out, it is going to be a hoot. And I am comfortable throwing that out there a second time.
All right, so as we talk All Out, I'm going to pick a couple matches and we're going to get a couple predictions going on. The one that I think is going to be the most interesting as far as predictions-wise, because there's so much what could happen or not. Let's go ahead and predict the Women's Casino Battle Royal. Who is going to win the Casino Battle Royal and who is going to be the Joker?
Somebody else go first because I've got my ideas.
Let me do this. I'm going to go first. Dang it.
Yeah, go, Alex.
Alex, we're going to give you the big screen because
don't give me the big screen. Don't do this to the people.
Big screen.
I'm already big. There doesn't need a screen for me. All right. I think the Joker definitely could be anybody. I mean, obviously anybody, but we've got
cop out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't want to point any fingers and be like, oh, it's definitely going to be, but I would love to just see a Ruby Soho, the Inspiration. Lana could even be somebody that we see in there. CJ Perry. As far as who's going to win it, I'm up in the air. I don't want to assume because I want to be surprised. But if I have to keep going because everybody else is distracted, Chris Statlander. Hey.
She's not even in it.
She's wrestling for the title.
Not Chris Statlander. She's not going to win the Women's Casino Battle Royal.
Do you need a list of competitors to give you a little bit of help here?
No, you're okay. I'll know more once hopefully I watch it tomorrow. Which, if anybody wants to help me watch it tomorrow, I could use $49.99.
I'll live stream it on my Twitch channel.
Oh, thank you. There we go.
I'm sure there will be somebody.
Great shout. Mickey James is a great shout, Parrish.
She's not in this. For the wild card. Okay. I was like, wait, she's not in the match, is she? Because I'm looking at the thing because I don't know who's in it.
I think Ruby is kind of the obvious pick for the Joker at this point. She's been teasing that she's going to be at the All Out show. I think that almost feels like a cop-out as a Joker at this point if she's been teasing she's going to be there. She's teasing she's going to be at the show anyhow, that it's not as much of a surprise for her to end up being the Joker at the end of the day, but I still think that's probably the way they're going with it. As for the winner, I don't know if Ruby gets the win right away. They were talking about it on the pre-show war report there with JPJ and Matt. I think it's probably Thunder Rosa is a really good option to have win it there. It's kind of an obvious choice for the winner since she's already in line for the next title shot probably anyhow, but I think that's kind of a safe way to go where nobody's going to be mad at you doing that.
Safeway. They don't sponsor us. Sorry. Bad timing. Please continue your train of thought that I rudely interrupted.
Dang it, Spencer.
I think that's an option you can go with that's not going to really make anybody mad, but it's an obvious choice too that you already know she's heading there, that it's just kind of here. Now you have a guaranteed shot as opposed to being, I think, third or second on the rankings right now and getting to that spot anyhow.
All right, I got two names for you because we've talked enough about Ruby. I do agree that she's a pretty logical pick. Two names that I think would be really fun either way. Chelsea Green's already shown up everywhere but AEW. Throw her in as the Joker, I think would be absolutely fantastic.
I thought she was already confirmed.
No.
For the Battle Royal?
No. I thought she was already one of the 21. No.
Nope. Thunder Rosa, The Bunny, Big Swole, Julia Hart, Tay Conti, Diamante, Penelope Ford, Red Velvet, Karashida, Emi Sakura, Jade Cargill, Kiera Hogan, Abaddon, Layla Hirsch, Kylan King, Rebel, Jamie Hayter, Anna Jay, Riho, and Sky Blue.
So my pick is, and I'm pretty confident she's winning it, to be honest with you. I'd love to see Jade Cargill. Love to see it. She's been dominant. She's looking good. Getting in the ring with a Britt Baker is only going to do good things for her. She just entered the top 5 rankings, so there's enough momentum behind her, I think, and I think you can still hold off on Rosa and Baker. I think you can still push that a little bit because I just think that there's always going to be momentum behind that. Baker and Rosa can do the proverbial Rock Austin fight forever as the most extreme example of it, but like you can put them against each other anytime and it's going to be magic. So why not use the opportunity when Cargill's hot? She's looked dominant again, all the stuff I've said before. Have her go up against Britt Baker in the future. I think it'd be massive. I think there's a lot of mileage there.
I believe
I'm
it.
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I believe it with Jade. I think you put her against Britt too quickly, you're going to cool her off if she takes that L. That I think you could build her up a lot more and have a lot more anticipation and a lot more mileage out of it if you have her to a little bit more of a bulletproof standing before putting her in there to just lose and go back down the card.
I also think you take the risk of exposing Jade Cargill in a match with Britt Baker this early.
See, I don't think so. I think putting her in there, like, it's not, again, new information. Britt's one of the damn best professional wrestlers in the world. And if you have her enter in, you have her, like, lead the match, for lack of a better way to put it, you can make it happen. Britt Baker's got two people aligned with her. If you've got a 3-on-1 against anybody, you can make it conceivable that someone could lose. I think, you know, maybe it's a hot take for lack of a better way to put it, but I already think Jade's pretty bulletproof. Losing to Britt Baker ain't a loss.
I agree. And Parrish has thrown out a couple ideas. He says right here, Santana Garrett. Normally the Joker isn't a big name. I mean, last year the Joker was Mercedes Martinez before she ended up in NXT. He also throws out, I mean, Deonna Purrazzo would be swell. And following along the Deonna Purrazzo line, I have a similar idea for my Joker and winner of the Battle Royal. I'm going into a different promotion, though. What about Camille?
I'd love it. I don't know.
St. Louis?
I don't know.
St. Louis is not a very far drive from Chicago. If they're they just filmed in St. Louis, and they just had Layla Hirsch there, and they're not afraid to put NWA stars in AEW women's matches.
Yeah.
Think about Camille versus Britt Baker. Like, talk about somebody you need 3 people to take down.
Yeah.
You can make Camille look like a star before she goes back and continues working over in NWA. And you already have that partnership that's proven pretty well, especially on the female side. Mm-hmm. Camille could be a huge Joker potential and a really, really fun little match with Britt Baker.
I think a lot of the arguments I got for Jade Cargill would apply to Camille.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the, again, like the cooling off or whatever word you want to put on it, like she just became NWA Women's World Champion a couple of months ago at most. And having her take a loss that early in a title run, whether it's for a championship or not, I think would be tough. Getting the championship involved in that is a whole different situation than going up against someone like Cargill, I think.
Yeah, I agree. The NWA Women's Champion might be a bit of a problematic thing, but they've had that title on this show so much that I think you can get out of it with having a Jamie Hayter kind of interfere, having a Rebel interfere, and going ahead and getting out of it. Yes, at All Out, it tends to be the women's that have the Battle Royal. I think last year was their first. It was 2019 or 2020. There was one before where it was Mercedes Martinez was the final entrant as the Joker. They've done this before, and I believe it's always All Out because I think it's always...
Well, because they did 2 years ago, I think was Kylie Ray, wasn't it, that came out?
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think Double or Nothing is when the men have their Battle Royal, and I think that the women have it at All Out, if I can figure that.
What about one last thought here? It's popping up all over the place on Impact and NWA, everything. Maybe not to win it, but Melina as the Joker.
So I'm dancing to my chance in the comments. Oh, it's gone.
Putting himself over.
No, he wasn't putting himself over. Somebody else was.
I mean, he does dance for putting himself over. So, no,
a friend that we met at. That was a friend that we met on the night that we sang karaoke with Nick Gage, well, JPJ, and I.
Cheers. Here's one for you, and this is completely for the lulz. As the Joker, we said Santana. What about Santina?
Yeah, no,
never again. I really love me some Santino Marella. Like, don't
do.
ever get
What
me
about
wrong there.
Santino's
But
daughter,
I have absolutely Bianca Corelli is a friggin' star. I have no other way to put it to anyone else. No
And by
other
the
way
way,
to
I
put
had
it.
no idea who she was until you did your interview with her. Because I'm like, because some of your interviews are Canadian wrestlers who I'm not familiar with. So,
Yeah.
holy cow, the chat has just gone ballistic. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my thought and run the chat.
No worries. I'll moderate the chat. You get your thought out. Ta-da!
I was gonna say, it was interesting how some of these chats that Spencer has on his Spencer Love interviews, which are fantastic, and you need to check them out. He just had Layla Hirsch on a little while ago. It's fantastic. It's had a bunch of great people on there. We're looking forward to another new one. Hopefully soon. I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow what the next Love Wrestling interview, Spencer Love interview.
Hell, I'll tell you right now. Why not? We're breaking news. We're not just recapping the week in news. I've actually got current Rev Pro Women's Champion, current Progress Women's Champion, Giselle Shaw coming your guys' way on Tuesday next week. And quite literally, I've got the list right here, right now. You can see Giselle Shaw, name crossed off, like dream interview. You talk about the Albertan wrestling scene, Canadian wrestling scene. She started off here. She wrestled some of her first matches in Calgary and Edmonton, and getting to see her, I asked her directly the first time I ever watched her wrestle. She wrestled a cage match here against Kat Von Hees, who's another favorite of mine, with Brandy Rhodes as the special guest referee.
That was a hell of a match. Cool. I was there for that show. That was an amazing show.
Yeah, so we chatted about that. We chatted about Rev Pro. We chatted about Progress and Mariah May, another guest that I've had on the show before. So, yeah, just a good chat. I really enjoyed that one. And thank you, Ed. I appreciate the kind words.
No, not a problem. And so, we have a bunch of people talking about how many, amazing things. We brought it. It was brought up during the other show, during the War Report, but the potential of it being Tessa Blanchard.
Mm-hmm.
Busting down. The fun thing about AEW is that these jokers could be any and everybody. Like with WWE, when they say, "Oh, we have a mystery opponent," it's probably going to be somebody that's been in their company, or it's a legend, or somebody else from them. With AEW, there's a potential it could be anybody.
Yeah.
So it really
there's a great shout from Matt. Sorry to throw that one out there. Maki Ito, yes. I would like her back in my professional television viewing regularly as much as I can. Santino's daughter, Bianca, I will agree with you here too as well. Certified hustler. Thank you for hopping in. I know you've thrown a few comments in there, but like Ed said, we're trying to keep up with all of them, which is a good problem to have, and we will encourage comments always. Bianca Corelli, I can't speak highly enough of her as a pro wrestler, but like, again, as a person, I'm very lucky that I've gotten to speak to a lot of great individuals, not just great professional wrestlers. So she was certainly one of them. Love chatting with her. So cool to see her in the women's battle royal at NWA. It was pretty cool. I chatted with her. I've chatted with Chelsea Green, and I chatted with Masha Slamovic before. It was nice to have 3/10 of the battle royal covered.
All right, so speaking more about All Out, we're going to go through a couple of the other matches. But what we're going to do is we're going to have everybody on the show give what match they're most excited for, and then exclude that from the next person. So, and we're going to automatically off the top exclude CM Punk versus Darby Allin because we're all looking forward to see how that match goes. So,
you're the worst.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to make you think. We're still going to talk about the match, but we're going to ignore that one for now. So
this is an upsetting set of circumstances. This is worse than a 3-night Wrestle Kingdom.
Let's go with Alex.
Come January,
ladies and gentlemen.
We are so bringing up that clip on every show in January as we get.
Hey, like I said, I by no means am not excited for the wrestling aspect of it. I am not excited for the having it across 3 nights aspect of it. I think 2 is perfect in any situation. Like Mania has proven that.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and if anybody wants to go first, they can go ahead and talk about what match they're most excited about for this show.
I would have to say CM Punk versus.
Well, that's my answer. So let's keep going. Cody, say the same thing.
No, actually, if we want to go there, my number one that I'm looking forward to is Jericho and MJF.
There we go.
The stipulation of it, the way the feud has played out to this point, the conversations I got to have on the War Report with JPJ and Pluggo about this exact topic, with MJF being that guy that Jericho just can't beat, and now getting to that point, Jericho's closing in or already at 50 years old. He's taken that spot on Rampage's announce booth and doing well with it and seems to be really getting comfortable in that spot. That I honestly believe this could be the time where we see Jericho step aside, maybe just for temporary. Maybe this is actually his swan song and his, farewell, and he takes his bow at the end. But they can always come back around and have him come back as someone working with MJF further down the line to get MJF to remove that clause and let him come back to wrestle if they so want to do that. If it's MJF who says he's never wrestling again, but then MJF brings him back to be a heater, they can take that route to make it plausible as to why he's able to come back again. But I really think that we're seeing the end of Jericho here.
I agree. I'm just going to shout out a couple of comments here real quick. Action Mike Jackson versus MJF would be incredible. If there's ever a Labors of MJF, let's get on that. That's me mistakenly clicking on Nightbot. So that is what there is. And I wanted to call back to this real quick because tomorrow morning, Certified Hustler, I think that might be one of the topics of conversation we have on Sunday brunch. So make sure you guys tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, because that is that's a real good one. I'm getting some good ideas, I like to think, out of that one. I'm just going to jump in as well. I don't need much explanation for mine. Miro versus Eddie Kingston is absolutely going to tear it up. That promo they had the other night was absolutely fantastic, where Eddie's, take my hand, we're going to walk through hell together. Like, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Those two guys are as two of the greatest pro wrestlers, or two of my favorite pro wrestlers, I should say, over the last 5-10 years. Man, they're on an all-time high right now, and that says a lot considering how good they've been over the last decade.
Spencer just kayfabed me and took my answer, so I'm going to go with a new one. I'm looking forward to the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, because I have nothing else to say because everybody else keeps taking my answers. No, these two teams are going to just kill it. They did a ladder match a couple years ago, killed it. I think this cage match is just going to be another front for them to just kill it. Both of these teams, very athletic, very high spotty. They're going to do things that I don't think we ever thought could be seen in a cage match like this before. And I think that maybe we even see the Lucha Brothers take the titles at this time.
I think this match is the match that makes it okay that Pac and Andrade aren't going to be there, because I think this match offers a lot of what Pac and Andrade would have had to offer, and this gives Pac and Andrade a chance to main event on a Rampage, on a show all to themselves, without having to be overshadowed by everything else happening tomorrow night.
If I recall correctly, too, they've got Andrade versus a to-be-announced opponent tonight, or tomorrow night, excuse me, confirmed for the card as well, too.
It hasn't
Andrade versus Fuego.
I would have no friggin' issue with that whatsoever. And friends, I appreciate all of the comments being thrown in here. I have now hit the same point that Ed did, where I am trying to keep up, but it is appreciated as all hell. Thank you for throwing everything in there. Certified Hustler, I could not agree with you more. Trevor Murdoch is my world's champion right now, and that is absolutely fantastic. Masha Slamovich is also the future of women's wrestling. I couldn't agree with you more. And to answer the first question you had up there, if you want to support Love Wrestling in any way, shape, or form above just tuning in, feel free to head to Twitch and give us a subscription. That is the easiest way to do so. But if you want to head to our Facebook page, if you want to head to our Twitter page, we got a lot of the information there on how you can continue to support as well, over and above simply tuning in. But I want to remind everybody, while we get closer to closing it out here as well, it is always appreciated however you choose to support. If you like just coming in, hanging out, and watching and interacting, you are more than encouraged to do so. It's appreciated when you all take the time for us. There's a lot of wrestling content out there on the interwebs. So thank you very, very much. I am 100% stealing that. It is September, so feel encouraged to throw subs our way, because subs are 20% off this month. It's encouraged all the time. It is especially worth your dollar this month.
Can I highlight a comment here?
Of course you can.
Of course you can. Feel encouraged.
This one's from Parrish. Parrish? No.
Call it in the ring, brother.
You and I will have a match one day, and we will call it in the back.
We were going to pre-plan all of this. That's
Step
not
by
our
step.
style here on Love Wrestling. We don't pre-plan much. We show up with our Michael Scott syndrome and start sentences and try and find ourselves halfway through.
And that being said, since it is all out, I'm sorry. Do you have something to say, Alex?
I was gonna say my brain is just a string just going along. It's everywhere.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, since we all want to talk about it, let's go ahead and get it out. We'll let it finish tonight, and then we'll go ahead and we'll move on to plugs and whatnot for everybody as we get ready to head on out of here. But I guess we can't not talk about it. CM Punk, I will say his name because unfortunately I don't. As I've said in the Slack chat a couple of times, the failed UFC fighter, because he told me that my opinion doesn't matter because it doesn't revolve around making him look good on Twitter.
Doesn't anymore.
Said,
no. Ed, love you. My opinion matters much less than Chick Magnet Punk's does.
No, but I did love that he came out and, they posted a thing on YouTube where he's like, yeah, if you don't want to talk good about me, I don't want you talking about me on Twitter. I'm like, cool, you're now the failed UFC. Oh, sorry. But anyways, that being said, CM Punk versus Darby Allin. CM Punk's first match in a ring in 7 years. It has the potential to be something fantastic. Do we think, one, does he have all the ring rust knocked off, and is this going to be the classic that we hope it's going to be and that it could be? Or do we have the potential for an actual riot? Because we're going to have the signs in Chicago that says CM Punk wins or we riot. Is there a chance that they put Darby Allin over in this match?
I think there's a chance. I certainly think there's a chance. But I don't know, because my thought here is like it's going to come down to Sting, or it's going to come down to like something outside, I think. Right? Like, I don't know if Darby Allin I don't know if Darby Allin should lose either. That's the biggest thing. Like, that guy's a draw. He's a certified moneymaker for All Elite Wrestling. And you would have to think that CM Punk is Teflon at this point. That guy's never going to be unpopular. Ever. I could see it, but I don't think they do. Like, a couple people threw in there, like, it would literally give a lot of wrestling fans like a little twitch. I would find it odd, but I could see it. It's, again, though, it comes down, and I know I'm expanding a lot here, but like 2 weeks ago when Punk was going to debut, and everybody out there on the internet was, they're going to swerve us. They're going to swerve us. There's no way it's going to happen. It's like wrestling fans are used to disappointment, So I'm like half conditioned that like, CM Punk's going to lose this because like Festus comes out. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping they make the fans happy at the end of the day. Give CM Punk the win. But I could see Darby. I don't know. It's tough to pick. It's a real tough pick.
I don't think that they don't give it the win to Punk here. I think he absolutely has to win, especially with it being his first match back. All the draw has been around him, and I don't mean to say that in a negative way, but it has been around him. But I was also just thinking about this. We've been seeing a lot of 2.0 and Daniel Garcia lately. Could we pretend to save face and to save Darby and Punk from suffering a loss? Do we see this turning into a tag team match, Darby and Punk versus 2.0?
If they swerve it to a tag team match tonight, I will lose it. Tomorrow night, I will lose it. And that's oh my goodness, I love me some 2.0.
That would be
this
the
ain't
only
Teddy
way
Long shit.
That would be the only way to protect both Punk and Darby. And
I hate it. I hate that idea.
And save Punk if he does have ring rust. Darby can go in there, take the heat, and then have Punk come. I'm just saying, maybe we're open forum here, right?
Oh, it's an open forum. While I will defend to the death your right to say what you just said, I disagree with it wholeheartedly. And it's again just like being used to being disappointed in professional wrestling sometimes. I could see it, but like, man, I would be furious if we're told we're getting Punk's first singles return and it turns into a tag team match playa. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry and tweet my displeasure.
I would too. Like this, I don't want to see. I want to see Darby versus Punk, but just the implications of this match. Who can you really have go over? Who helps and who does it hurt?
That's why I say, like, and it's gonna sound silly, but like, I eventually think we're on the path to a Sting versus Darby Allin match. Sting screws Darby.
I mean, Sting came out on Wednesday night and said he's not going to be at ringside at all.
Which for me leads me to believe that he's very much going to be ringside at some point.
But that's your WWE mind thinking, not your AEW mind thinking.
I've said that a couple of times, though. I will fully concede. It is like the preconceived, built-in, you're set to be disappointed. You see it all the time, not just in WWE. Like, that is something that is a trope of professional wrestling, Leave them wanting more. Let's push things back a little bit. I don't know. Like, that's why I said right off the bat, I think Sting or something from the outside is going to be a factor in this. Because let's say theoretically 2.0 comes to the ring. Is Sting going to sit in the back?
No. My thought here, I don't agree with the idea of the tag team match playa, but I could very well see Punk and Darby tearing the house down, having an absolute banger of a match, both of them laid out in the ring, Daniel Garcia 2.0 come out and attack both of them. We get to a no contest. It's not really an AEW thing. They don't like going with the DQ finishes there, but I think in this case it works. And the problem I have in your reaction to how you're seeing this right now, Spencer, I see it in your face. Your reaction is you're seeing it as a behind the curtain fan and blaming the booking for doing something like that. Whereas I'm seeing it in the sense where this should be the ultimate heel heat for 2.0 and Daniel Garcia to come out and ruin everybody's night at the end of the show. That should put them to the top of the heel food chain.
Why, when you are a company that has built your reputation and done a very good job of building your company on the reputation of goodwill, would you totally, utterly sewer that?
Well, you put together
why would you do that?
25, 30-minute match and just don't give a finish to it, right? You give them like a hell of a match.
But a lot of the time, the issue with a match is the finish. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair was the best match on the Mania 36 card. And no one remembers that because the finish sucked behind 10.
Yeah.
And that's completely valid. If the finish is bad, the match is a lower quality. There's no other way to put it.
But it's three guys who have been at the heart of this feud right from the beginning of it, who have been feuding with Darby since before we even got the Punk announcement. Three guys coming out trying to they're going to get involved.
I haven't disagreed with that, like being an option. I think that they're going to try and get involved, and then Sting's going to get involved, and somehow, some way, by hook or by crook or by no one notices or whatever, again, trope you want to go by, somehow, some way, it'll play into the finish of Darby Allin losing. And no one's going to look any worse for it. And CM Punk's going to win. And as Pear said earlier, CM Punk's going to shake Darby Allin's hand at the end of the night. And Sting and Darby Allin, my thought is from here, is going to start to lead and start to set the seeds for a Darby Allin Sting match. There we go. Maddie, perfect point. This is AEW's biggest pay-per-view of the year, and you want to end it with 2.0.
They're putting 2.0 up there, right? Like, if you want to sell them as a big deal, you want to make them the biggest heels coming out and put them in a feud with Lucha Bros going forward, by all means, sell them this way.
I love it. I already think by being as part of this and getting involved in the end of the match, they've done that. They don't need to be the reason the match is lost. I'm not knocking 2.0 JPJ, but at the same time, let's just get real. 2.0 are very, very fresh to not just AEW, but professional wrestling fans in the grander scope of things. And I don't mean that as an insult, but NXT, they were really not presented as anything more than a great comedy tag team, but a comedy tag team. And in AEW, they're with Daniel Garcia, another guy relatively new to the promotion. They don't have the same level of recognition that a Punk or a Sting or a Darby Allin does. So having them close out the pay-per-view in the nicest way possible does feel like a bit of a downgrade over CM Punk shaking hands with Darby Allin in front of 20,000 fans in Chicago.
I don't think you need a winner in this match, though. I really don't. I think at this point, having Punk come back after 7 years out of the ring and putting him over on a guy who's been wrestling in the company for 3 years and all over the world for longer than that, and has an extremely strong winning record as a singles wrestler, to have Punk in and take that win right now, just, I feel like you're doing more service to the storyline and to the sport as a whole to have this match get disrupted in some way and hold off getting that actual decisive finish between Allin and Punk till further down the line, once Punk has gotten back into his rhythm, built himself into his game, proven he can still go in the ring, and come back and have that rematch where, hey, we never determined which one of us is the best in the world. Let's come back to it.
Sorry to cut off, but our good friend who's been in the chat the whole time, Certified Hustler, hopping in. Feel free to shoot us a message on YouTube or Twitch. If you want to shoot me a message directly on my Twitter account, we can get details coordinated on that end of things. But feel free to get at me, I should say, at Spenny Love, the thing that I am pointing at right now. Shoot me a DM. And thanks for tuning in today. It's appreciated. It's especially appreciated when you guys are hopping in and interacting and making it a good problem to have when Ed and I are trying to keep up. It is appreciated. Tell that to Chicago fans for wanting a non-finish at the main event. Yeah, I agree. I just think it would be something, especially in Chicago, that wouldn't be the good kind of heat for those guys, for lack of a better way to put it.
The reality era we're in, where people blame the booking and don't just accept the heels getting heel heat anymore.
But that's the era we're in. And that's an entirely different conversation to have. But you got to play to the environment you're currently in, not the environment that we were in 20, 30 years ago. Or
you try and change the attitude, change the game, like we're doing.
There we go. I was going to say, I really hope you get the cheap plug in there, because I think that's my time to transition back to Ed, who's technically hosting the show, as I started to ramble.
I was going to say, I'm letting all this go and just letting the conversation flow. With that being said, we're going to get ready to get on out of here. But before they do that, we're obviously going to do our plugs for everybody. So we're going to go ahead and start with the boss man himself. So big screen for Spencer.
Thank you. It is appreciated. Friends, once again, I'll say it, and I know Ed will say it, and everyone will say it, but it's always appreciated that you guys hop in, take the time, interact, especially when there's so much professional wrestling content out there. If you want to follow all the great work that we're doing here at lovewrestling.ca, you can find a lot of the links scrolling across the bottom of where you can do so, but wherever audio is played or video is viewed, find us at Love Wrestling CA, the website lovewrestling.ca, and myself personally, you can find me at Spenny Love on the Twitter machine. Make sure you support Real Canadian Wrestling tonight. If you're in the Edmonton area, we will be at the Norwood Legion #1, bell time at 7 p.m. And stay tuned to Love Wrestling and Force Pro Wrestling for more information coming up on Change the Game right here in Edmonton, Alberta on October 15th. We'll see you there, friends.
And Cody?
You can find me right here on the Twitter feeds, on the Twitch feeds at Cody Defoe. Started live tweeting all of my reactions to the Monday Night Raw and the NJPW shows as I'm watching them. Definitely tune into NJPWWorld.com tonight to see day 2 of Wrestle Grand Slam. If you didn't watch last night's, I highly, highly recommend checking out Wrestle Grand Slam night 1. Show and Yo tore the house down. Jeff Cobb and Okada put on an absolute burner. New Japan's doing absolutely great things. It doesn't get nearly enough appreciation in the wrestling world with all the things we're seeing here with WWE and AEW and Impact and NWA. Definitely want to plug that to go check out NJPW. Follow me on Twitter. Comment, interact with me. We'll talk wrestling on whichever program you want to talk about.
Hey, when's night 3 of tonight's event?
It was last night in the NJPW Strong for the barbecue brawl.
Sorry, I had to.
Alex.
Yes, you can find me tonight on Blowing Off Stream, as well as tomorrow on the little Sunday camera. Yeah, there we go. Sunday brunch with my own personal mug. And you can always find me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Steam, Epic Games, at there it is, Ecto Guy 87. And I'll be on my current street corner trying to get some money for All Out tomorrow. So look for me. I need $50 if anybody's got it. I'll do strange things. I'll talk wrestling with you.
And of course, you can find me at edfries12584 on Twitter. You can find me hosting the War Report, the new version of the War Report on Tuesday nights with Cody and Astrid as we talk all things NXT. As NXT goes into the big changes that are coming up, and we get closer to the Index wedding and the rebranding of NXT on 9/14. So be able to make sure you double check on all that. You can find me here on Saturday mornings with the Saturday Mornings Reacts. You can find me moderating for Tom Collihue and his Twitch channel. So always go ahead and give him a follow because he's a great guy and he does some great wrestling content, including some news and stuff every Monday and Friday. And again, don't forget RCW tonight. Spencer Love will be there. I believe even Cody's going to be there tonight. We have some great stuff going on Love Wrestling as we continue. Again, we have Sunday brunch tomorrow morning. We're going to have Blowing Off stream tonight. I don't know if we're going to have a reacts to All Out yet. I don't know if anybody's signed up for it, but keep your eyes out in case there is a Love Wrestling reacts, because there potentially could be, because you never know who wants to talk wrestling here at Love Wrestling. That being said, so all the fine folks in the chat. Oh, what's up?
Question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Are you okay if we raid our good friend Project Ditz on Twitch?
Absolutely. I love
that sound
Ditz.
acceptable to you?
I follow him all the time, so...
A heck of an individual. Perfect. I wanted to make sure I got in there before we hit the music.
Oh no, absolutely.
Parrish calling me out, I see.
I did not know that, but happy birthday to Cody.
Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to...
I expect that rendition in the ring tonight at RCW, please.
I will have to get permission. I am on a very no, I'm kidding. Absolutely. I'll see you tonight, my friend. Guys, good to see you. And for those of you tuned in on Twitch, we will see you on the Project Dit side of things. Ed, close it out here for us on A Love Wrestling Reacts.
All right, everybody, have a great night, and we'll see you all next time.